From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Daryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Wednesday, December 9th, 2015. Silver is trading at $14.28 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,080 per ounce. And according to BitcoinAverage.com, the average price of Bitcoin is $422. Antiwar.com reports pro-Saudi Yemeni leader Abdurabu Mansour Hadi has announced there will be a week-long ceasefire beginning on December 15th and going through December 21st, meant to coincide with planned UN peace talks. The Shiite Houthis have also agreed to the deal if the Saudi airstrikes stop as well. Ceasefires in Yemen are always a dicey proposition, and both sides are likely to be very tentative in the early hours. Hadi's faction captured the city of Aden, their temporary capital city, in July when they dishonored a week-long ceasefire in the first few hours. The last UN-brokered peace talks were a disastrous failure back in June when the two sides refused to even be in the same room. The only time the two sides were even face-to-face was when pro-Hadi delegates attacked a Houthi press conference, sparking a fistfight. We're unlikely to get any media coverage of a fistfight this time, however, as the UN has announced the talks will be held at a secret location, and neither the venue nor the details of the talks will be discussed publicly, saying at most official updates may be provided directly by the UN Special Envoy. For nearly 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals like gold and silver. They also take Bitcoin for precious metal purchases and have permanently removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co. Reuters reports Supreme Court justices appeared reluctant on Tuesday to endorse a conservative challenge to the way Texas draws state legislative districts in a case that could shrink the political cloud of Hispanics and boost the power of rural voters. It was not clear after an hour of oral arguments how the 9 justices would rule in a dispute that questions a process that all 50 states employ to create electoral districts using an area's total population as opposed to just eligible voters. The case is closely watched because of its potential to transfer influence from urban areas that tend to be racially diverse and favor Democrats to rural ones with predominantly white voters who often back Republicans. 2 Texas voters recruited by a conservative legal activist group contend that the process Texas uses to draw electoral districts violates a long-established legal principle of one person, one vote, endorsed by the Supreme Court in the 1960s. If their challenge succeeds, it would upend how voting maps are drawn around the country. Counting everyone and not just eligible voters boosts the electoral influence of locales typically urban with sizable populations of people ineligible to vote, including both legal and illegal immigrants as well as children. If you're fed up with the government running every aspect of your life, but you're not listening to the Lava Flow podcast yet, what's wrong with you? Go right now to thelavaflow.com/listen. The Lava Flow podcast, channeling the flow of information to the libertarian, anarcho-capitalist, voluntarist, and agorist community. Subscribe today using any podcatcher at thelavaflow.com/listen, or just go back to sucking up to the government. The Lava Flow podcast, striking the root every episode. Antiwar.com reports in a 407-19 vote backed by the White House, the U.S. House of Representatives on Tuesday passed a bill aiming to restrict visa-free travel to the United States for anyone who has been to Iraq or Syria in the last 5 years. The visa waiver program covers 38 countries from which travelers can come to the United States for visits of 90 days or less without having a visa, so long as they have a passport and a round-trip ticket. In addition to restrictions on visitors who have been to Iraq or Syria, House leaders say this is likely just the first of a series of bills aimed at increasing restrictions on entry into the United States. One of a handful of opponents to the bill, Representative Keith Ellison of Minnesota, complained the focus should be on terrorists, not nation of origin, adding that the bill was overbroad and should include exceptions for journalists and researchers who have been to Iraq or Syria. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.